Okay, folks, sorry about the lighting, but we're going to talk this morning about Eric Schneiderman's little indiscretions. Time to discuss the fake little fraudster, Eric Schneiderman. Now, you see, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the state of New York in the United States Supreme Court accusing Mr. Schneiderman and his gang of being a pack of lying thieves and frauds. Now, he's not my master, and I think there's about 4 million plus homeowners that got shafted in that $25 billion hustle where he and Holder and Barack Obama entered into a nuclear treaty with the bankster gangsters and settled for nickels on the dollar, probably pennies on the dollar, and then took the $25 billion and stuffed it in their pockets and gave it away to all their pals and homies. So yes, Eric Schneiderman, come on down, buddy. It seems as though you've got a fetish for beating up women and having threesomes and, you know, slaves. You want to be the master. And obviously you got some problems with some dope, with some narcotics, Mr. Schneiderman. And there's about 4 million homeowners that got swindled and shafted, if you will, by the gangster banksters and all those fraudulent mortgages. Now here's a news flash for the world that's watching Eric Schneiderman melt on, burn on, down. He's crashing and burning, folks, because Eric Schneiderman apparently is a bigger fraud than I realized. Now, the up and down waters, the lake level up at Lake George that destroyed my mother and father's business, where the state of New York wound up owning my parents' 600 plus acre, their 250 slip boat marina, and their home and everything they'd ever worked for in their lives. The good old state of New York and their mobster, gangster, banksters there on Lake George, flushing all that poop and all those toxins and poisons into Lake Champlain. Well, you got some splaining to do, Mr. Schneiderman. Seems like old Eric, he thinks he's everybody's master. He thinks everybody's supposed to put up with whatever Eric decides Eric wants. And, well, Mr. Schneiderman, welcome to the neighborhood. Because I'll tell you what, pal, you're front and center. I hope that the President of the United States acts quickly and appoints a special counsel, or 5, and has your passport seized. Because, Mr. Schneiderman, you got an awful lot of splaining to do. Particularly about all that up and down water on Lake George, New York, where you're flushing all that sewage leachate into the Poop Chute River and continually poisoning Lake Champlain. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can read the saga. It's all over the world. It's the poisoning of Lake Champlain. The damned truth about Lake George. The mill pond. The biggest financial contributors in the state to Mr. Andy Cuomo and to Mr. Eric Schneiderman and Basil Sagos over at the Department of Environmental Confiscation, the DEC. They've been running one heck of a slavery operation in New York for a long time with that more and more and more and more and more land scam. The old Moreland Commission, the Moreland Commission, they shut it down just as soon as somebody started pointing out that they've been stealing more and more and more and more land in New York by racketeering and interfering with the interstate commerce in the real estate business. You see, when you drive market prices down by imposing arbitrary restrictions and arbitrary controls over privately owned land, you start getting into some very serious constitutional property deprivations. And then, of course, you've got some RICO racketeering problems. So yes, Mr. I'm the master who likes to beat up his women and apparently he wanted threesomes. He was forcing his lady friends there to get a third partner for his sexual indulgences. Mr. Schneiderman, I think there needs to be a full and complete audit of everything he's ever done. Because apparently Mr. Schneiderman is some kind of a pervert. He's a freakazoid. He likes to do things that people don't realize he's doing. So to all my friends out there on the West Coast and the Stop the Foreclosure Fraud groups across America, now is the time to turn up the heat, turn the heat way up on old Eric the Schneider man. Folks, I think I'll leave it right there. Make sure you visit the poisoning of Lake Champlain and take a good long hard look into good old dam number 230, Dam A, on the Poop Chute River at Lake George, New York. To my friend Renee Powers, Pam Ragland, Valerie Lopez, and a whole pile of others like Shelley Erickson and, oh, I can name names all afternoon. David Bowen, David Dayan, Jeff Thigpen, Mr. O'Brien up in Massachusetts, Martha Cloakley. There's just Mark Stopa. Let's throw old Mark Stopa in there just for fun. We've got us a major problem with old Eric the Schneider man and that great big payoff. They made a deal with the bankster gangsters for $25 billion. The problem being the banksters stole trillions. Schneiderman took the $25 billion payoff with Holder and Obama and Lynch when the banksters stole trillions. President Donald Trump. Vice President Mike Spence. And of course, let's not forget good old Jeff Sessions. Mr. Sessions, Christopher Wray at FBI, I think it's time to seize Eric Schneiderman's passport. And I don't know, I might be thinking about having him arrested for what? Assault and battery, sexual assault, drugs, and just being a low-life sack of you-know-what. Folks, we'll leave it right there, and hasta la vista. God bless, and you betcha we will definitely, positively be coming back.